Every single year, usually during those cold, deeply reflective days of late December or early January, you find yourself walking into a bookstore to buy a new notebook. It always has a beautiful, textured cover, clean premium paper that smells faintly of unfulfilled promises, and a structured layout that practically begs for a flawless life. You take it home, clear your workspace, and place it on the absolute center of your desk. You open the very first page, pick up your favorite pen, the one that glides perfectly across the surface without scratching, and you begin to write down a version of yourself that does not exist yet. You carefully draft the perfect morning routine. You list the books you will read, the financial milestones you will hit, the exact weight you will achieve, and the complicated, toxic relationships you will finally leave behind. You tell yourself, with absolute certainty, that once this notebook is filled, once that degree is hung on the wall, once the savings account reaches that specific reassuring number, or once you finally drop those extra pounds, then, and only then, your real life will finally begin. But days melt into weeks, and weeks quietly dissolve into months. The routine breaks on the very third morning. The notebook doesn't get filled. It just sits there on the corner of the wood. The cover stays immaculate, but the edges slowly gather a thin, unnoticeable layer of gray dust. You are currently living in the waiting room of your own existence. And the most terrifying part about this condition is that it is a strangely comfortable place to remain. In the waiting room, the pressure is completely off. In the waiting room, you never have to face the brutal, terrifying risk of failure, because you haven't actually stepped onto the field yet. You are just preparing. You are perpetually collecting resources, reading more books, buying more courses, watching more productivity videos. You are waiting for the perfect weather, the perfect emotional state, the ultimate clarity, or perhaps a sudden surge of monumental closure from someone who doesn't even remember how deeply they hurt you. You genuinely thought you were just being cautious. You told your friends you were just being meticulous and strategic. But that was not the real reason. You are not waiting for the right moment. You are using the future to escape the present. Think about the wardrobe in your bedroom right now. If you open it and look past the ordinary clothes you wear every single week out of sheer habit, you will find something else hidden in the shadows. There is at least one piece of clothing hanging in the dark, right at the back. The plastic price tag is still firmly attached to the fabric. You bought it months ago, maybe even a year ago, during a brief moment of retail optimism. But you don't wear it. You never take it off the hanger. You tell yourself it is reserved for a special occasion, an elite social gathering, or maybe you promise yourself you will finally wear it when you feel slightly better about the shape of your body. Every single time you open that wardrobe in the morning rush, your eyes briefly meet that tiny piece of plastic. It is a silent, binding contract you signed with a future version of yourself, a theoretical version that keeps moving further away into the horizon every single day you choose to wait. We engage in this psychological dance because our nervous system craves absolute safety above everything else. Your brain does not care about your self-actualization or your dreams, it only cares about your survival. In the present moment, when you strip away all the digital noise and the constant distractions, feels inherently dangerous to a mind that has been bruised before. In the present, you can be rejected in real time. In the present, your creative work can be scrutinized and deemed inadequate by the world. In the present, you might actually have to face the devastating realization that the dream you have been chasing for a decade doesn't actually satisfy your soul. So, your mind, in an act of profound self-preservation, creates a beautiful, brilliant, and deeply addictive illusion. It tells you that your current life is just a rough draft. A temporary rehearsal before the real show starts. You tell yourself that this unfulfilling job is just for now. This cramped apartment is just temporary. This overwhelming emotional numbness you feel during your evening commute is just a passing phase. You build an entire, complex identity around the concept of one day. And while you are busy designing the perfect entrance to the stage, while you are waiting for the stars to align and your fears to vanish, the clock on your wall just keeps ticking. It doesn't tick loudly or dramatically like it does in the movies to warn you. It is a soft, rhythmic, almost imperceptible sound. You only truly notice it when the entire house goes completely quiet at night, when the ambient noise of the city dies down and you are left alone with the ceiling. It is the steady, unyielding sound of the rough draft quietly becoming the permanent copy of your life. It is the sound of a temporary choice hardening into a permanent reality. It is a slow, silent erosion of your potential. You sit on the edge of your bed, illuminated by the cold, pale light of your phone screen. You scroll through the lives of strangers who seem to be already happening, comparing your messy, unedited, chaotic behind-the-scenes footage with their highly polished, curated highlights. A sudden, sharp wave of resentment hits you right in the chest. But if you are completely honest with yourself, you aren't actually angry at them. You are resentful of the relentless, unforgiving passage of time. You feel like you are being left behind in a world that is moving at warp speed, yet you cannot seem to find the key to open the door of the waiting room you locked yourself into. You become deeply, quietly furious at your own paralysis. You wonder how you became a spectator in a life where you were supposed to be the main character. Let us just stop here. Just stop trying to fix it for a second. The silence in your room right now isn't empty. It is heavy with all the things you are actively avoiding. The truth is deeply, profoundly uncomfortable. The exhaustion you feel every single night when your head finally hits the pillow isn't actually from the things you accomplished during the day. It doesn't come from hard work or physical labor. It comes from the immense, crushing weight of the life you are constantly postponing. It takes an unbelievable amount of psychological and emotional energy to hold the door shut against your own reality. You are running an absolute marathon, sweating and gasping for air, but you are doing it inside a mental room that is only 3 meters wide. You are trapped in a functional freeze, where you do just enough to survive, just enough to look okay to the outside world, but deep down, you are entirely stagnant. You genuinely believe that by waiting, you are protecting your ultimate potential. You thought that if you kept the pages of the notebook completely clean and white, the story would remain flawless and unmarred by the cruelty of the real world. You treated your potential like a fragile glass sculpture that would shatter if it touched the ground. But a story that is never written cannot have a beautiful ending. It cannot even have a bad ending. It just remains an empty page. You cannot think your way out of a life you desperately need to feel your way through. Intellectualizing your pain will never heal it. Analyzing your paralysis will never break it. Yesterday, or maybe even this morning, you probably promised yourself that tomorrow would be entirely different. You told yourself that the next sunrise would bring a sudden, magical surge of organic motivation, a perfectly clear sky, an undeniable, flashing sign from the universe telling you exactly which way to go. But when the morning actually came, the alarm sounded exactly the same as it did the day before. The room was just as cold. The coffee tasted just as bitter. The unfinished text message, the one where you wanted to explain your true feelings but got scared, was still sitting right there in your drafts, frozen in time. The universe did not scream, it remained completely silent, waiting for you to move first. The ultimate tragedy of the human condition is spending your entire existence getting ready for a stage you never actually step on. You slowly, gradually become a professional spectator of your own life, sitting in the audience while your own clock runs out. You look at the dusty notebook on your desk, and over time, its meaning begins to shift. It starts to feel less like an exciting tool for a bright future, and more like a quiet, tragic monument to a past that never actually happened. You realize that the monster under your bed wasn't failure, it was the realization that you never even tried. We are all so terrified of living an imperfect, flawed, messy life that we willingly choose a perfect, pristine emptiness instead. We treat our very existence like a rare museum piece, something incredibly fragile to be protected behind thick glass, completely untouched by the grease of human error, the dust of everyday effort, or the inevitable scratches of real, raw experience. We value the illusion of safety over the reality of growth. But you were never meant to be a stationary monument in a quiet museum. You were never meant to be a hidden treasure that stays buried to avoid the dirt. You are the storm itself. You are meant to be worn out, scratched, and transformed by the friction of living. You do not need to feel completely confident or entirely healed to take the plastic tag off that jacket and wear it down the street. You do not need to possess a flawless, ironclad 5-year plan to write a messy, ungrammatical sentence on the second page of that notebook. The confidence you are waiting for does not precede action, it follows it. The clarity you are begging for is found in the doing, not in the thinking. The magic, the breakthrough, the profound peace you have been searching for is hidden entirely inside the very work you have been spending months avoiding. When you click away from this video today, when the screen goes black and you are forced to look at your own reflection in the dark glass, you will return to the physical reality of your room. You will see the ordinary, unpoetic objects of your daily routine. The half-empty mug of cold coffee sitting on the kitchen counter. The keys thrown carelessly by the door. The dusty notebook resting quietly on the corner of your desk. And for the very first time in a long time, you might actually notice them differently. They are not waiting for your future self to arrive. They are not waiting for a better version of you to use them. They are happening right now, in the absolute only moment that has ever truly existed. Because you are not waiting for the right moment. You are using the future to escape the present. The waiting room you have built around your soul has absolutely no lock on the door. It never did. The walls are made of your own thoughts, and the door is completely open. The handle moves easily whenever you decide to put your hand on it and turn. But stepping out of that room means accepting the cold, unpredictable air of reality. It means accepting that your very first attempt will be incredibly messy, your second attempt might fail completely, and the version of you that finally steps onto the final stage will be covered in visible bruises and deep scars. It means giving up the comfort of the illusion for the weight of truth. But at least, you will finally be standing in the room where the music is actually playing. At least, you will be alive.